So, Cadence Owens versus Dr. Umar Johnson, the Makhia Bryant incident, coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense, Logic, and Reason. And as always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So I want to talk about the Makhia Bryant incident. Again, this was an incident that happened back 2 years ago, in which a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed by a police officer as she was attempting to stab another black female. And this took place in the Columbus, Ohio area. And of course, black people were all up in arms over this. Surprise, surprise. The crying racism and so on and so forth about what the police did. The police killed this innocent black girl, and then they had to shoot her, and so on and so forth. Now, I did a video on this, and I also did a video on Nyaria Gibbons, and this was a 13-year-old girl in the Cincinnati area who was also killed while she was stabbed by another black female. Basically, what I'm hearing, her friend, they got into a fight, the friend stabbed her, and her father had to watch her die in his arms. So now I ask myself, if that man, if he had the option of a police officer there to save his daughter's life, even if it meant taking the life of the other female, what you think he would choose? Well, I know what I would choose. Okay? Now, both Cadence Owens and Dr. Umar Johnson had something to say about this case. Now, it wasn't an actual debate. What somebody did was took what Cadence Owens said and put it side by side with Dr. Umar Johnson said and put it in the video. So it wasn't an actual debate with Cadence Owens versus Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson, and that's stupid, okay? He's an idiot, but he's not stupid. Now, I can completely agree with everything that Cadence Owens said. She pretty much sums it up pretty well, Really, I'm more interested in what Dr. Umar Johnson said, because there's going to be some nonsense involved in it. So anyway, so let's go into what Dr. Umar Johnson had to say about the Nyaria Gibbons incident. The Makhia Bryant incident. He wouldn't speak on Nyaria Gibbons.
I think he would have been murdered also. 16-year-old sister shot 4 or 5 times in the chest holding a knife. President Biden, it's not acceptable. You're not going to sit here and tell me that the police had to kill a 16-year-old girl with a knife in her hand.
Joe Biden had nothing to do with that incident, so I don't know why he's bringing him up into it. Like, I know Joe Biden fan. I didn't vote for him. I think he's probably the absolute worst president that I can remember in my time. This guy, he's incompetent, and he's clearly the beneficiary of nepotism, because he's got the way he is because of name, not because of ability. This dude, this is the dumbest president that we've ever had. I think he's being led. But with that being said, Joe Biden had nothing to do with this. So, you can't cry to Joe Biden about something that we as black people, we pretty much bring upon ourselves. So, again, this was not Joe Biden's fault.
You're not going to sit here and tell me that the police had to kill a 16-year-old girl with a knife in her hand.
The cop had to do what was necessary to protect and serve the public, to save that girl's life. That's what his job is. So as far as I'm concerned, the police officer did his job. Okay. Sadly, that this girl had to lose her life, and from what I'm hearing is that she was being bullied by these girls. But the police still can't sit by and let one citizen stab another citizen. So he did his job after being called out. They called the police out. Okay, the police officer didn't just magically decide to show up on his own. They called the police, and that cop showed up because of their behavior and what they were out there doing. That they had to call the police. So the police just did his job.
And the reason you can't stand here and tell me that the police had to kill a 16-year-old girl with a knife in her hand is because being an educator and working in the schools, I have seen lunchroom aides, I have seen parent volunteers, I have seen hallway monitors break up fights, riots, gang wars. I have seen them disarm students who had knives and other weapons in their hands. So if a lunchtime aide can break up a fight and disarm a student holding a weapon without having to shoot them, how can you convince me that a trained police officer wearing a bulletproof vest, a knife-proof vest, how can you convince me that a trained police officer with a bulletproof vest had to kill a girl with a knife in her hand?
Okay, well, what were the conditions of these incidents? You know, there's always going to be different incidents. I would love to know where were all of these cafeteria aides and hall monitors in relation to what was going on? Were you telling me that some student was in the act about to stab another student, and these aides and monitors were several feet, 30 feet away, and they just got there and ran like the Flash and got there and disarmed the person as they were there in the act of stabbing someone else? Again, we need to know the conditions of what did he mean by they managed to disarm these students. Okay, and if you watch the video and you watch still images, the police officer couldn't have done anything. There was no way, shape, or form that police officer in the midst of all this commotion could have gotten to Makhia Bryant to disarm her as she was attempting to try to stab the girl. I mean, he was at least about, I would say, 20 to 25 feet away. There was no way that police officer would have gotten there to disarm her. By the time, if he would have tried to disarm her, by the time he would have gotten there, she could have stabbed the girl in the pink outfit, several times. So the quickest and fastest way to try to save that other girl's life was with a gun. I mean, the police officer isn't the Flash, right? I'm sorry. There was no way, shape, or form that he could have, quote unquote, disarmed that girl. The father should have been disarming his daughter instead of worried about kicking some other female laying on the ground. Okay, so right now, Dr. Umar Johnson is just talking out his ass right now. He's just being emotional, and he's trying to stoke the flames of race here. Clearly, anybody not emotional and that's logical and reasoning, look at the video and can see the cop. There was nothing the cop could have done to disarm her, not in such a such a long distance. Now, if he was standing right behind her, and she reached back her arm to stab the girl, then perhaps maybe the police could have grabbed her arm, but he was just too far away.
That is absolute bullshit. You could have used the taser. You could have used the rubber bullet. You could have tackled her. So many things you could have done, but you didn't have to shoot her, and damn near not 4 or 5 times.
So in a split-second decision, that cop had time enough to decide whether to use a regular gun with regular bullets or rubber bullets or a taser. Like, really? Like, the cop just got all day. Like, he had the time to take his gun out, remove the clip, take the real bullet out the chamber, load in the rubber bullets, and then shoot her. And then like, maybe I should stop it. Let me take out the taser, not with the rubber bullets. It was a split-second decision, and any hesitation could result in the loss of life of the other female that was wearing a pink outfit. Again, saying stuff that makes no sense. This is exactly what happens when black people get hyped up on race. That you just stop thinking and stop using logic. As far as tackling her, I always say that the police officer was just too far away. Again, you can see the video, you can see the still pictures. He was just too far away to, quote unquote, tackle her, especially in the midst of all the commotion that was going on, because his attention first was on her father as he was attempting to kick the girl. So there was a lot going on, and you expect the police officer to just, I guess you think the police are Quicksilver, one of the Marvels of Quicksilver or something. Now, as far as how many times he shot, Umar Johnson cried about that. He had to shoot 4 or 5 times. Well, he has to shoot he has to shoot as many times as he deemed necessary to protect citizens, regardless of how many shots fired. Once again, it was a split-second decision, and they called the cop out for black people's fuckery. You can't blame the police officer for protecting another person's citizens. And if, like I said, Dr. Umar Johnson, if that was his daughter in the pink, you think he would have a problem with the cops did? He probably out in the open, he would say he would have a problem with it, but behind closed doors, he would be happy his daughter was alive. So, again, I just don't see how there's any way that anyone can say that this cop is wrong. You can look at the video, and there's no angle that you can look at and say that this cop was wrong. He did his job. He protected and served citizens. All this could have been averted if they wouldn't have been out there acting like fools. They were out there acting like fools, called the police officer, the police showed up and did his job. So as far as I'm concerned, like I said, the police should be committed. He did an admirable job. He did the best he could in a split-second decision, and he decided he's protected a black girl's life. And there's plenty of other black people who I guarantee you wish that a cop, as much as it's bad as they talk about how the cops hate the black man, there are a lot of black people out there who family members who wish that cops were around in a split-second decision. But anyway, Dr. Umar Johnson, once again, is being an idiot, being an a-hole, and being a race hustler. I mean, there's no other way to sum it up. But anyway, y'all, as always, until next time.